All right. Hi, everyone. Hi. Welcome to Lei. Welcome to Lei. Welcome to Lei's Saturday Night Live. All right. It's weekends again. I hope everyone is enjoying their weekend. So far, so good. All right. Good. Well, things aren't looking great for Beijing on the global stage this week or this month. Let me give you a number of events that certainly gave Beijing headaches before we talk about the Sino-Japanese relations. Well, first of all, Taiwanese Vice President Xiao Meiqing, there she is, delivered a historic address at the IPAC, which stands for Interparliamentary Alliance on China. It's the IPAC summit in Brussels, becoming the first sitting Taiwanese VP ever to speak at a European Parliament. And then 5 days ago, the EU signaled that it is preparing to ask member states to eliminate Huawei and ZTE from their mobile networks. And then on November 6th, the European Commission launched an anti-subsidy investigation into Chinese-made tires for cars, light trucks, and buses in Europe. And Germany, one of the EU nations most reliant on China, issued a formal document urging German companies to reduce their dependence on the Chinese market. Then just yesterday, we learned that Tesla has told its suppliers to strip all China-made parts from vehicles destined for the US market. But the country where things have escalated most dramatically is Japan. The world is watching the sudden spike in China-Japan tensions, all triggered by one astonishing message. Well, astonishing, I think one, I think astonishing is really putting it too nicely. This man, who is the consul general in Osaka, he wrote this about Japan's newly elected prime minister, Sanae Takaichi. So this Chinese consul general wrote this. He said, "That filthy neck that barged in on its own, we have no choice but to cut it off without a moment's hesitation. How are you ready?" End quote. All right, well, that single comment set off a full-blown diplomatic firestorm. And so what exactly is happening? Is Beijing really prepared to push this far? Even to the point of cutting ties with Japan? If you go by the Chinese state media, it looks like it. So let's break it down. And during the second half of tonight's live talk, Saturday Night Live, I'll give you an update on the 23-year-old woman behind the $1 million car crash in Sydney, Australia, because there's some interesting development that will tell us how the case will go forward. So first things first, Japan. Well, everything began when Sanae Takaichi said this in Japan's parliament. So she said, if Taiwan is in trouble, Japan is in trouble. And shortly afterward, Xue Jian, the Chinese consul general in Osaka, posted that now infamous message about beheading the Japanese PM. And that post lit the internet. Japan reacted with fury. So there were calls to expel the consul, and they are growing louder every day. Now, Beijing, instead of backing down, went into full counter-attack mode, escalating its criticism of the Japanese PM and launching a political assault on her. Then Beijing took it up in another level. Thursday night, I believe it's Thursday night, China's Vice Foreign Minister Sun Weidong summoned Japan's ambassador to Beijing, saying that he was doing so by instruction, or 奉仕 in Chinese is 奉仕, which is a diplomatic term meaning the order came directly from the top. So Sun Weidong accused Takaichi of making wrong statements about China and lodged a stern protest. And Beijing said her comments on Taiwan were provocative, demanded Japan to correct its mistakes and withdraw the remarks. China's official statement even used the phrase deliver, quote, deliver a head-on blow as a response. Normally, Japan is restrained in these situations, but not this time. So Japan fired back immediately. Its vice foreign minister summoned China's ambassador, Wu Jianghao, and lodged a counter-protest demanding China take proper action regarding the consul general's beheading post. Then Japan's foreign minister, here we go, Mr. Toshimitsu, spoke at a press conference. I believe it's Friday, maybe, our Thursday, their Friday. So he said, the Japan's foreign minister said Japan had violated no international law. China's accusation did not match the facts, and Japan had no reason, none, to retract anything. And he said this, he said, we are not withdrawing our remarks. And on the question of declaring Xue Jian, the consul general, persona non grata, the Japanese foreign minister reminded reporters that Japan has expelled diplomats 4 times before, but did not say whether Xue Jian would be the next. That's as close as diplomacy gets to a raised eyebrow. Then today, China's ambassador Wu Jianghao summoned the vice foreign minister of Japan right back, because a day ago it was the other way around, right? Japan's vice foreign minister summoned China's ambassador, and then a day later it's the other way around. So the Chinese ambassador saying that he was acting, again, by instruction, to lodge yet another protest and warn Japan that if it didn't withdraw its remarks, and then all consequences would be Japan's responsibility. And Wu repeated Beijing's new favorite line, which is that if Japan intervenes in Taiwan, China will deliver a head-on blow. So this is unprecedented. I don't think China has summoned a Japanese ambassador in the past 30 years. I believe it's the first time that China has summoned the Japanese ambassador. So people notice how the CCP kept using, like during this back and forth protests, China insisted on using the term by instruction. So people are trying to figure out what it means. Well, it could possibly mean 3 things. First, it means that this is not the diplomat acting on his own. This comes from the very high up, possibly the top leader. Second, there's no room for negotiation. It's a diplomatic yellow card. And third, it's a warning. It warns that concrete retaliation, like canceling events or imposing diplomatic countermeasures, could follow. I personally think that by repeatedly reintegrating or emphasizing this by instruction phrase, Beijing is trying to say that this order came from Xi Jinping and not anyone else. Whoever is behind this entire drama has the intention to blame this on Xi Jinping in the event that it has terrible consequences. And the reason why that's happening, they have the intention to blame everything on Xi Jinping amid the ongoing political infighting. Now, meanwhile, China's propaganda machine went into overdrive. People's Daily, Xinhua, and others started attacking Takaichi Commentators like Hu Xijing, the former chief editor of Global Times, jumped in. And even China's defense ministry threatened Japan, saying Japan would be bloodied and broken. And very interestingly, China's foreign ministry also issued a dramatic notice claiming that public security in Japan has deteriorated and that Chinese citizens should avoid traveling to Japan temporarily. The irony? Japanese netizens celebrated the announcement. Comments flooded their social media saying, "Do not avoid Japan temporarily, avoid it permanently. Please never come again." This is because years of poor behavior by some Chinese tourists, breaking rules, disturbing public spaces, damaging properties, has left Japanese society exhausted. So if Beijing wants to stop its own tourists from coming, Japan is more than happy. But guess what? The people who line up in front of Japanese consulate in Shanghai, it's still a long line. People still see long lines in front of the Japanese consulates, and people also check out the airports, the flights. Oh, Chinese airlines offered full refund to Chinese customers if they want to cancel trips to Japan, but the flights, people, it doesn't look like people are doing that. The flights are still people who took pictures of the counters, airline counters servicing customers going to Japan. They're full. They're very full. So the war of words hit a new low when a CCTV-linked social media account called Yuyuan Tantian published a rant calling Takaichi, the Japanese prime minister, brainless, full of crap, and worse. Now, when top-tier state media, their outlets, begin using gutter language, it usually means one thing. Even they don't take their own messaging seriously. It's all political theater. And here's the very absurd part. People discover that the journalist behind the account, that social media account, Yuyuan Tantian, had just returned from a shopping trip to Japan. As soon as he returned, he logged on to curse Japan, and the hypocrisy speaks for itself. Okay, now let's get serious. Here's the part that most people missed, and it's extremely important. The man who started all, Xue Jian, has gone silent. Where is he? Okay, let's find this man. Oh, there he is. He has gone silent. Since November the 10th, 5 full days, he hasn't posted a single thing. No posts, no reposts, nothing. Before that, he was posting dozens of items a day, and suddenly silence. What does that tell us? His silence is almost certainly the result of internal discipline. Beijing understood Japan's reaction was serious because Japan has started taking real actions, not just issuing statements. Today, Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party and their Foreign Affairs Committee and their Foreign Affairs Research Group issued an internal directive. As a result of Xue Jian's comment, all LDP members are instructed to boycott events hosted by the Chinese consulate in Osaka. And there's also context. The consulate was planning a China-Japan friendship event in Hiroshima on the 21st. And now the LDP is saying no one in our party is allowed to attend. And that's a concrete blow, not just talk. And there are more nightmares for Beijing. Japanese media just released a new poll on Takaichi's position regarding military intervention if Taiwan is attacked. 83% of Japanese citizens now support Japan intervening militarily if Taiwan is invaded. That's 83%. 3 months ago, that number was 70%. That's already high, but now it jumped another 13 points. And of the remaining 17%, only 9% oppose. 8 are undecided. So this tells us one thing. China has slammed into a wall. With support above 80%, Takaichi has zero incentive to soften her stance. She will only grow stronger, right? So the unavoidable question is China truly ready to break with Japan? Decouple? Cut diplomatic ties? Start a diplomatic or economic war? Well, before answering that, we need to understand something fundamental. China and Japan are arguing or fighting over two completely different things. Japan is focused entirely on diplomatic norms. A consul general threatening to behead a sitting prime minister is beyond unacceptable. A diplomat cannot issue violent threats online, period. Beijing, however, is laser focused on Japan's Taiwan policy and deliberately avoiding the consul general's comment because they cannot defend him. So that's why Beijing pretends that it was a personal comment, then immediately put the consul on ice. So his silence is Beijing's quiet admission of embarrassment. So why is Beijing attacking Takaichi so aggressively? Well, I think this is I think Beijing needs to distract from internal crisis. The CCP is drowning in political infighting and economic collapse. A foreign enemy is the perfect distraction. And before this point, the foreign enemy was the United States. And I think the CCP is carefully, moving away from that since the Trump-Xi meeting a couple of weeks ago in South Korea. So now they need a different enemy. And so it's sending a message saying that everyone blame Japan. That's the goal. That's also why Beijing issued splashy wanted notices for anti-CCP Taiwanese figures like the famous lawmaker Shen Boyang, right? And also social media influencers, the two of them, Yang Lanlan and Ba. Yeah, I think that those are those two. So China issued wanted notice and even offered a $250,000 for them. But if you really think about it, these have zero real impact in geopolitics or diplomacy. They're just political theater. They're part of the Japan rhetorics. It's the whole script. And what's funny is CCP's own state media even inadvertently admitted the strategy. So Yuyuan Tantian wrote this. It says, stirring up the Taiwan issue again is aimed at consolidating domestic political standing and paving the way for increased military spending. They thought they were attacking the Japanese PM, but they ended up describing their own motives because that's exactly what they're doing. So based on this, I believe the Chinese are all rhetorics and noise. They're not going to take real actions, at least not at this stage. Why? Because something else happened. President Trump just approved his first Taiwan arms sale of his second term, which is about $330 million for F-16 and C-130 parts. It's not a lot of money, yeah, I mean, the amount of the size or the amount of sales is not significant, but the timing of the sale couldn't be more insulting to Beijing. Right in the middle of this storm when Japan and Taiwan need a boost. So now Beijing is stuck yelling at both Japan and the United States at the same time, mostly at Japan, repeating its same old lines. But the more Beijing lashes out, the more it helps its opponents. Japan gets more reasons to revise its constitution. Japan gets more momentum to upgrade its military. The US gets more space to support Taiwan, and Taiwan gets stronger defenses. So Beijing is essentially handing them leverage on a silver platter. Now, I think, so you may ask, so why is Xi Jinping doing this? I really think that when the party elders decided to keep Xi Jinping in the top post for the time being, this is the inevitable outcome because they can't really control him. We'll continue to witness CCP's foreign policy oscillating between wolf warriors and smiling pandas in the next couple of months as a result of the fighting from the two sides. Of course, it's wolf warriors to Japan and maybe smiling pandas to the United States. Now, if Beijing were thinking rationally, it would de-escalate, because if it doesn't, the United States, Japan, and other supporters of Taiwan will only increase their moves. So that brings us to the heart of the issue, which is that Japan, I mean, from the days of Abe Shinzo, Japan has been clear. If Taiwan is in trouble, Japan is in trouble. This has been Japan's strategy since Shinzo Abe's time. And Takaichi is just the first PM to tear off the polite ambiguity and say it out loud, openly. But this isn't her personal opinion. It's Japan's long-standing national strategy, because over 90% of Japan's energy and strategic materials come through the Strait of Malacca, the South China Sea, Taiwan's eastern sea lanes, and then north to Japan. So this route is Japan's lifeline. If Beijing takes Taiwan, the South China Sea becomes China's inner sea. The first island chain collapses, and that means Japan and even South Korea would have their national lifelines held by a very hostile power. So Taiwan's crisis is Japan's crisis isn't a slogan, it's a strategic reality for Japan. And the timing for Takaichi to tear off the veil, the ambiguity, is perfect, because now she has one, strong support from the Trump administration; two, domestic approval, over 80%, and the political environment in Japan overwhelmingly favorable to her. So that's why she made the message crystal clear. And she's not backing away from that. Because if Japan wants to revise its constitution, turns the self-defense forces into a real national military, and to increase defense spending, then its public must understand what's at stake. Without clarity, Japan would lack the justification to revise its constitution. And the CCP is exactly helping the new PM to achieve that goal. I mean, everything Beijing has done, from the post of the consul general to the responses from its foreign ministry, everything the CCP has done is to help the Japanese public understand what's at stake. Now, I think the Chinese consul general's comments might be the product of internal power struggles. I seriously do not think it's the the behavior, the random behavior of one diplomat. That doesn't happen. I think this is part of the plan. But we don't know whether this was engineered by Xi Jinping's people, maybe through this, by playing the wolf warrior role. Xi Jinping hopes to gain more control. We don't know who's actually behind this, but I think this is not accidental. It's part of their plan. When gangs are in a turf war, there's no reasoning or logic whatsoever. And that's exactly what's happening in Beijing. All right, so that's all we will say about Japan. So we still have some time left. I want to tell you about what happened with the case. Oh my goodness, what happened here? I didn't mute this. I want to tell you about the case in Sydney, Australia, involving the 23-year-old Chinese woman and her $1 million car crash. Remember? Oh, do I have? Where is that? Oh, there is. There she is. I made a video about this. Chris, if you can post the link of Yang Lanlan, I'd appreciate it. Okay, so someone asked me about her case. So actually, this Friday, there was a fourth hearing in Sydney, Australia. It was the fourth. It was Sydney's Downing Centre Local Court. And by the way, let me tell you a little bit who she is. I mean, she has been suspected to be affiliated with China's top leader, right? People say that she is, most people believe that she is a Xi family, by Xi, I mean Xi Jinping family, a Xi family princess. She is either the daughter of Xi Jinping or his brother, Xi Yuanping. So her hearing on Friday was dramatic. First of all, she skipped court again. This is her fourth hearing at Sydney Downing Centre Local Court, and she again refused to show up. She has not showed up. And her lawyer, he showed up 45 minutes late, completely unbothered. And he walked in calmly and announced that Yang Lanlan pleads not guilty to all charges. And that's shocking to everyone because, I mean, how could she plead not guilty after going against traffic under influence and totaled another car and severely injured a man? So after declaring not guilty, the lawyer, Michael Cohen, do I have a picture of him? I think this is John Cohen. Oh, we couldn't find Michael. So this is John Cohen. John is the father. It's a father and son legal team, law firm. So the father didn't show up, but one of his two sons, Michael Cohen, showed up. So Michael Cohen asked the judge to officially allow Yang Lanlan to skip the next hearing as well. And the judge approved it. So on January 30th of 2026, her fifth hearing, she still will not show up. 5 hearings in a row, all absent. Because she pleaded not guilty across the board, the court has ordered the prosecution to submit all evidence to the defense by January the 9th. And that's when the real substance will surface. The documents, the statements, the details. Meaning that the actual turning point of this case won't come until early January, when the prosecution's evidence is presented. So the moment this news broke, the internet erupted again. People are shocked by how aggressive this young woman's defense team is. With all the money she has or her family has, I mean, she could just plead guilty. I mean, if she really wants to stay low key, she could plead guilty and then settle the case out of court, and then maybe, serve, bargain with the judge for a lenient sentencing. But she didn't. She went, she's pleading not guilty. So let's talk about his lawyer. John Cohen is a top criminal defense attorney with over 40 years of experience. He's consistently listed among Sydney's leading criminal lawyers and one of the most influential in the field. And Yang Lanlan isn't his first Chinese client. Back in 2017, Chinese actor, this man, Gao Yunxiang was accused of sexually assaulting a 36-year-old Chinese Australian TV producer in Sydney. The case became a massive media storm, and Gao's lead defense lawyer was, guess who? John Cohen, right? The same lawyer that Yang Lanlan hired. And after almost 2 years of legal battles, Cohen got Gao acquitted of all charges, completely cleared. And from the way things are unfolding, it's clear that Cohen is using the same legal strategy, and it's centered around one thing: delay strategy, right? So the delay strategy is serving two purposes for Yang Lanlan. Where is Yang Lanlan? Okay, let me talk about. Okay, so here's the lawyer. Let me stay on this page. The first purpose is it will drag out the case until public attention dies. The biggest challenge for this woman and her family is the enormous public interest in finding out who she really is, or who her father is, and where her wealth came from. Like I said, it's widely believed that she is tied to the Xi Jinping family. Now, the enormous public interest in her case is exactly what Beijing fears. So by refusing to appear and pushing deadlines back, she's buying time. Eventually, people lose interest, public anger cools down, media stops covering, and once the spotlight fades, she has much more room to maneuver. When no one is watching, everything becomes easier to handle, right, behind the scene. And the second reason is people believe that her legal team will build a mental health defense. The longer the delay, the easier it is to emphasize her severe psychological issues. Her lawyer has already indicated that she suffers from mental health issues and psychological disorders, and it may become a critical legal tool. The overseas Chinese community overwhelmingly believes that the Sydney court is under pressure from Beijing. Notice the pattern. The judge repeatedly allowed her to skip court. The lawyer denies everything without hesitation. And then the defense highlights her mental health condition. So what will happen? What's the likely comment? My personal assessment is that if the public doesn't put the pressure on, then the longer this case drags on, the higher the chances that this woman will walk away with either no conviction or a very light sentence, like something like serving community service instead of jail. Time is on her side, and the influence of her family only takes effect in Sydney as delays accumulate. So the longer it drags on, the more influence her family has in the court. So it's not looking good to me. So a lot of Chinese are already pessimistic about where this is heading. Of course, the final verdict still depends on what the prosecution submits, right, on January the 9th or by January the 9th. But based on the pace and the tactics so far, this case could drag on for a couple of years. And that's exactly what her legal team is counting on. Now, if the Australian public puts the pressure on the court to rule it without CCP's influence, then we may see a different result. So this case tests the integrity of Australia's legal system and whether or not it is impartial to CCP's pressure. And here's the worrying part for me. Western countries should watch out because the mental health defense is about to become a tool the CCP elite will exploit on a large scale. Let's be honest, anyone who has grown up under an authoritarian system, or anyone who has grown up under the CCP, carries psychological scars, including the very privileged ones, because they too live under constant pressure, fear, and control. But that cannot become an all-purpose excuse to avoid accountability in the West. So if Yang Lanlan's team successfully turns this into a mental health loophole, it will set a terrible precedent that will send the wrong message to the privileged Chinese living in the West, or not just privileged Chinese, any Chinese living in the West. It basically will tell them that as long as you have money, you can influence Western judicial system by hiring a top lawyer, and by arguing that you have mental health, because everyone does. And also that as long as your dad is someone important, you can get away with criminal activities, even in the West. Because this case highlights something brutally obvious. In the CCP system, ordinary lives are disposable, but the privileged ones can bend the rules anywhere, even in Western democratic countries. So Yang Lanlan's case broke at the time when I think 3 weeks before the death of actor Alan Yu. Yang Lanlan's case broke in August, I believe. Was it? No, in July, end of July, and then August, yeah. And then Alan Yu died in September, on September the 11th. So it's such a stark contrast, right? So if you come from a regular family, your life can be destroyed, dismissed, or erased overnight. But if your father is a high-ranking CCP official, you can dodge consequences, even abroad. So this is why when the CCP attacks Western democracies, many Chinese end up believing that democratic systems are full of cracks and weaknesses too, because they see cases like this and think, well, even in Australia, the powerful can get away with anything. So I truly hope the Sydney judge would do the right thing to show the world that justice is not something CCP elites can buy or escape. So that's what I have for you. 2 stories. Hopefully this is worth your time on Saturday night. I don't know if this has any entertainment value, but it certainly looks like CCP is having a tough time dealing with all the drama erupting around the world. Okay, let's see. I need to take a sip of water. Did you notice you used a photo of Michael Cohen? Oh, so that photo is Michael Cohen, not John Cohen? Yeah, I think John Cohen, I saw a picture of him. It was much older. So I asked Chris to do the pictures for me, and I think he probably got Michael Cohen and John Cohen mixed up. Yeah, that picture looks like the son, not the father. So thank you for pointing it out. Okay. Someone said maybe the Sydney judge needs a transplant. Good point. Or maybe somebody in his or her family needs one. Someone said the entire Western world is collapsing as a result of interacting with the CCP for too long. Someone said, I heard the lawyer was 40. Yeah, the lawyer was 45 minutes late. Anyways, okay. Someone said, I love this channel. Oh, great. She got the wrong picture. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's the sun. No, Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen. Cohen. Oh yeah, that's right. It's Michael Cohen, not Michael Cohen. All right. I got the names mixed up. Sorry, maybe it's not Chris, it's me. All right. That picture. Okay. All right, people are talking about the pictures. I got the pictures wrong. Okay, my mistake. All right, let's see. Someone said Lei has no idea what's going on. Okay, I don't mind, Good. If Lei has no idea what's going on, that means uh, that probably means that she is impartial. Because if I claim I know exactly what's happening, then you should worry. Anyone who tells you that they know everything that's happening, then because nobody knows what's happening. When it comes to CCP politics, I don't think there's not a single person in the world who knows exactly what's happening. Even Xi Jinping himself doesn't know what's happening inside his regime. So it's a good thing when you say Lei doesn't know what's going on. That only means that I'm authentic and real. All right. Okay. Oh, wrong picture. Everyone's saying wrong picture. Oh my goodness. All right. I may as well just not doing a picture next time. Okay. Someone says Xi Jinping has 2 more years as figurehead. Okay, now if you want to hear the rumor mills, here are some of the craziest rumors that I've heard today and yesterday. 1, Cai Qi has disappeared for a week. Now that's not a rumor. He did not show up at the national games with Xi Jinping, even though he went to the south with him for the commissioning ceremony for the Fujian air carrier. But he didn't show up at the national games. This is very unusual. And then he has not been seen since. So it's been a week. And there have been rumors saying that he's under investigation. Zhang Youxia and his military detained Cai Qi when he was in the south with Xi Jinping. And they took him away in front of Xi Jinping. And Cai Qi was hoping that Xi Jinping would do something to prevent it from happening. But Xi Jinping didn't bother. So, okay, the facts are Cai Qi did not show up at the national games as one of the 7 Politburo Standing Committee members who traveled with Xi Jinping to the south for those 2 important events. It's extremely unusual for him not to show up at the sports game, and he has not been seen for a week. So that's why the rumor becomes, to some extent, believable, or it at least serves as a form of explanation. Okay, so that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but it would be interesting to see if he ever shows up. If he disappears for a good couple of weeks, then I think that rumor is true. Okay, all righty. Okay. Lei is sweet. That's her true secret power. Yeah, I admit my mistake. So will you forgive me for screwing up the lawyer's name and picture? Yes, you will? Okay, good. All right. All right. All right, that's all. I don't have any questions. You guys are all set. It's Saturday night. Here what? Nori Hero. Okay, question. Lei, do you think the PM Takaichi's statement regarding Taiwan was an intentional move to elicit the response from CCP? No, I do not think so. I think, like I said, I mean that strategy has always been there. It has been developed, drafted by Shinzo Abe. But the PMs before Takaichi just didn't verbalize it, they didn't announce it. Um, since she's a devout student of Shinzo Abe and she has, I mean, she just made it public. It's not like people don't know about it. So I don't think it's the right time. It's the perfect timing, right? She has strong support from the Trump administration. Her approval rating is high in Japan, and then CCP's egregious behaviors perfectly justify such a position. So it's the perfect timing to do it. It would be unwise for her not to, make it not to clarify it now. So I think this is it's just a very natural and perfect move on her part. And two, what will happen next if Japan does or doesn't eject Consul Xue Jian? I think Japan is waiting for the CCP to do something to symbolically remove him. I think Japan is waiting for Beijing to remove Xue Jian on their own instead of having Japan to declare him persona non grata. But I don't think Beijing is going to do that, judging by all the rhetorics that we've seen. So Japan may be forced to remove him. Yeah. So I think Japan is waiting to see what Beijing would do. Someone said, "Do you have a Chinese ghost story to tell?" I told one on Halloween's day. There are too many ghost stories to tell now. You know, the Yu Monglong's case, people's investigation into the truth behind actor Alan Yu's death right now are all about ghost stories. They're all based on psychics or information obtained supernaturally. So there are tons of ghost stories out there. I just haven't got time. Sometimes I don't know, should I tell that story in Leisrealtalk or should I tell that in Leisrealtalk? Some are more on the culture side, some are more geopolitically oriented. So the two channels are getting more blurred. I have a hard time deciding what goes where. Of course, in this channel, we don't have edited videos. I mean, unless we publish the highlight videos. I mean, except the highlight videos. I could barely talk today. Oh, okay. Lei needs a break, a nice break. Someone said Michael Cohen is the real estate lawyer. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it's Cohn. Corn. What went through my head? Okay. Lei will be forever known as the woman, as the YouTuber who got two Australian lawyers mixed up. It's okay. All right. Someone asked me, Galia Lavova, how you will comment the arrest of Yodi Zhang, 志明前志明 in Britain. Is she sentenced with the CCP? Is she connected with the CCP? You know that woman who is arrested? The woman who's arrested for her criming some kind of a Bitcoin. It was a Ponzi scam, right? If that's the woman, is that Yadi? Zhang Yadi? Zhang Yadi. Oh yeah, that's the woman. Okay, Yadi. Yeah, she is somehow connected to the son-in-law of Mao Zedong. So she is somehow connected to, yeah, the son-in-law. Mao Zedong has a daughter with Madame Mao, Jiang Qing, and somehow her husband was involved in her scam, in her Ponzi game. So when you say, is she connected with the CCP? She is. Um, any wealthy Chinese, who's able to grow their business to the scale that she did must be connected with CCP officials one way or the other. So people are really enjoying the mistake I made. Okay, that may be my entertainment for you. If I make a mistake to entertain you, then I'm very happy. At least I provide some entertainment value tonight for your Saturday night live. Someone saying Michael Cohen. Lei, what is your IQ? Okay. Apparently very high. I once did an IQ test. And like you had to answer like I don't know, I don't remember how a certain number of questions within like 5 minutes. And I found myself just zooming through the question really fast. I think there was only one question that I wasn't quite sure about the answer. And then when I was curious to find out what the IQ was, what my IQ was, and then they started to ask me to register. Like you have to provide email, you have to pay some money, and I'm like, no, I'm not that crazy about my IQ. I don't want to pay. It's okay that I don't know. But I found the questions very, very easy. So, anyways, Brian Cobb. Oh, thank you, Brian. Another excellent program. I'm glad you find so. We are also watching more of your Looking Glass channel. You want to know more about Chinese? We want to know more about Chinese history. Yes, I enjoy making videos for Looking Glass channel, although it takes more time. It takes a lot of time because I have to film. Chris has to edit. And my last video on Alan Yu almost got an age restriction from YouTube, and we appealed and we won the appeal. So that's amazing. Yeah. All right, here's a question. I already answered that one. All right, and tonight's moderator is Nicole. Chris is taking a break. Someone said, yeah, the truth is Chris is working hard. Chris is working hard, making a 5th anniversary video. I don't know what he's gonna come up with, but he's looking through the old files and trying to find some funny footage from it. I don't know what he's gonna come up with, but he's working very hard. All right. Someone say, Lei, did you hear that Warren Buffett sold his shares in BYD? I might have heard about it. I'm not surprised. He should. If he doesn't, then he shouldn't be revered as the investment guru. If he still hasn't sold the BYD shares, then there's a problem. Okay. All right. Tom, thank you. Love your work, Lei. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you. Wes Donner. Thank you, Wes. Okay, I'm just picking random questions. Here's one. Okay, someone said, you're perfect. My favorite political analyst. I love you. Whatever it is, I'm not obsessed. I just enjoy the tests. The IQ tests are very interesting. They give you these very abstract patterns and want you to find out. I find it's very quick to spot what the pattern is. Right? They give you some word patterns, some visual pattern, ask you to kind of, those things are very easy for me. Like I'm very good at spotting patterns. And I think it has nothing to do with IQ. Some people just have the eyes to spot it. And so, okay. So, okay, someone asked me, okay, I answered that question already. Um, Someone say, have you, this is from a Vietnamese person. I'm sure, I don't know how to say your name, but have you gone back to China? I love the country. It's so beautiful, but I'm scared to visit any communist country, especially North Korea. I don't even think you can go to North Korea, can you? But if you're Vietnamese living in Vietnam, can Vietnamese go to North Korea for a visit? I'm not sure if mainland Chinese can go to North Korea for a visit. I'm sure they can, but they don't have the incentive to go there. Oh yeah, someone asked me about Zhang Youxia now praises Xi Jinping, mentioned him over 20 times in an article calling for a comprehensive military overhaul. Excuse me, warning against being two-faced or showing false loyalty. Yeah. You know this Chinese black humor. We say 高级黑, like if you want to insult someone, you just go overboard in praising, right? In praising him or her to the point that it sounds gross. And this is exactly how the mainland Chinese do it. So they cannot say anything bad about Xi Jinping. So if they really want to insult him, so they just go crazy in praising him, like in a worshiping manner. But the real intention, but everybody can read between the lines, and the real intention is to embarrass him. So it could be that, yeah. Okay, seek the truth. Someone said, my concern is South Korea. The new leader met with China before and after Trump's visit. He has only praise and glowing words for China. Are the streets protests against him working? Yeah, I share your concern. I don't worry about Japan because they have a great leader now. I do worry about South Korea. But what can we do, right? And they are allowing foreign citizens, like students studying in South Korea, to vote. And that means a lot of Chinese are going to vote. So that's scary. That means that the Chinese can effectively control South Korean elections from this point on. Very scary. So I answered the question about Zhang Youxia praising Xi Jinping. You know, when you study CCP politics, you have to really, sometimes they intentionally confuse you. You know, they send you mixed signals. You just have to be very careful. You read between the lines. And the official narratives are usually the opposite. Okay. Someone at anti-S25 say, Lei, if we're looking at history, technically, isn't China part of Taiwan, not the other way around? Yes, China is part of the Republic of China, has a history of 13 years, 114 years. And the PRC only has a history of 70 some years. So yeah, if anything, the Taiwan is the motherland of the mainland because it's the mother, right? The PRC came from the ROC. So you're right. Okay. All right. Everyone is talking about how they mixed up the lawyer's name. Okay, that's my entertainment for you. Okay, that's all for tonight. That's all. I will see you next week. Thank you very much. And thank you, Nicole, for moderating. Oh, here's Black Belt 2000. Question to Lei. do the president and vice president of Taiwan consider themselves Chinese, or they say they are Taiwanese? I don't know. I think they definitely consider themselves Taiwanese. Um, whether or not they consider themselves Chinese, I don't know. You have to ask them. But they consider themselves Taiwanese. Um, yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.